Hey yo guys, I'm back here to give you my UFC 96 Jackson versus Jardine, as well as last night's HBO Boxing After Dark reviews. You know what, I gotta say that UFC 96, while it may not have been the greatest night of fights in the world for the realm of MMA, I was, thoroughly happy with it. I mean, I wasn't bored throughout any of the fights on the main card. A lot of interesting stuff happened. This fight card will definitely be one to remember for a while, I have to say that. With the boxing, well, Golden Boy tried to showcase 3 of their top fighters, and I would say 2 of the 3 succeeded. The other one, it was just, a bad stop. Not like a bad ref stoppage, but, an unfortunate stoppage, I should say. But anyways, let's get to the review here. I'll do UFC 96 first, as I saw this event live, and I just finished up watching the HBO Boxing After Dark here on the replay. Anyways, so we started things off in the lightweight division with Jim Miller versus Gray the Bully Maynard. Really, this bout was what I, kind of thought it could turn into. Most of it was a stand-up battle where, Maynard got the advantage of it, in it. He really didn't do as much, power shots in the straight up stand up, but when Miller would go in for a takedown and Maynard would block by throwing punches at Miller, he just made his face here look pretty nasty, beat up. That was the turning point there. And even when Maynard wanted to take it to the ground, he did take it there. He stuffed Miller a couple of times. It was, to me, a definite 30-27 fight for Gray the Bully Maynard. Miller, made a fight of it. He tried to be competitive, so I always give someone props for that. Just, he was beaten by a better man, and, a guy for lightweight that has just so much power in his hands and just so strong at, doing takedown defense. And plus, Maynard's, got some strong wrestling as well, so... basically, whenever Maynard wanted to do whatever he wanted to do, that would happen. Unfortunate for Jim Miller, but, Jim Miller's a gamer, and he'll be back. And, Gray Maynard, be someone also, that you could throw into the hat for potential lightweight contenders for BJ Penn. So, keep that Gray Maynard name out there. Then we went to the next fight, which was Matt the Hammer Hamill versus Mark Munoz. Munoz, this was his debut in the UFC after having, a pretty solid run in the WEC. This fight, to me, was a fight that I guarantee you anyone that watched this saw the finish, no one in your right mind picked that happening. Basically, whenever Munoz wanted to, try and take it down, that didn't happen, as, Hamill had, some strong takedown defense. Hamill's stand-up in this fight was amazing. Amazing improvement from, his fight with Franklin. Really, and then, he got Munoz up against the corner, and he delivered this head kick out of nowhere. Like, no one in their right mind saw this head kick coming. I mean, it was just shin on temple. Down went Munoz. Munoz was out for a while. They had to have the EMTs work on him. I mean, they obviously didn't show it, but, you could tell they needed the EMTs. I mean, Mark Munoz was cold at the hands of the Hammer, Matt Hamill. Really, I think that definitely needs to be knockout of the night, because this is not really that, impressive of a knockout guy in the stand-up department, especially with a leg kick. If Hamill's gonna TKO you or knock you out, he's gonna wrestle you down and ground and pound you. We didn't get any of that. It was amazing. I was impressed with Matt Hamill here. And then, in Matt Hamill's interview, while, he was basically saying that the Hammer is back and that, he was so happy to be, fighting in Ohio in front of, his home state friend, he just gets the impression that he's the nicest guy in all of MMA. I don't know what it is about him, but he just seems like the nicest person in all of MMA. He's the super babyface. You can't hate that man. I can't. You? I don't think so. Anyways, then we went to the next fight, which... the hell, this was one of the weirdest fights you're gonna see all year in MMA. This was Matt Brown versus Pete Sell. This fight was extremely weird, as you had Matt Brown go to his game plan of seek and destroy, and that happened. He absolutely destroyed Pete Sell in this one. Stand up, with some punches, and then he threw a head kick that definitely rocked Sell. Sell then went down on a strike. referee Yves Levine steps in, say the fight is over, and then he sees that, Cell gets up, he's like, wait a minute. You're up. Let the fight continue. The hell is this? If this is exactly remind me a little bit, maybe not 100% the same, but it reminded me of the Sergio Martinez Kermit Cintron fight in boxing that took place a couple weeks ago, where, it looked like Cintron was down and the referee counted him out, but then he didn't count him out. It was just, what the hell is wrong with referees these days? Can they be consistent? Can they just make up their mind on a decision? Please. It was just weird as hell. And then, Matt Brown just absolutely pwned Pete Sell even more so. It really wasn't, I don't know. And then, Yves didn't stop it soon enough. To me, when you step in there, that's it. You don't get do-overs. That was it. The fight was over. You should not have continued. The fight was over. Pete Sell was out. Really, I think the whole thing here has to do with what happened on the first fight of the night on this show in the Shane Nelson-Aaron Riley fight, where, Shane Nelson, he drops Aaron Riley. It was a good punch, enough to get him down, but, Riley wasn't out on his feet, whatever, and, the ref just stopped in and was like, whoa, it's over. I mean, a horrible, atrocious stoppage on that one. Maybe the worst stoppage thing I've seen in the history of mixed martial arts. Really, and then apparently that referee didn't know you could potentially restart the fight, which, this is even news to me, that you can restart the fight when you think you've done something wrong, which is just baffling, that is even an option in the realm of mixed martial arts, and so that's why Yves did it. That was just insane. The referees need to do something about, these referees. I don't know what that could be, but something, please. I mean, you can't just have people restarting fights. I mean, the early stoppages, I'm a big fan of them. Let's protect the fighter's safety, but, some of these referees, they're just too quick to pull the trigger on that. That's just my opinion. Anyways, I've ranted and raved about the horrible stoppage in this fight. Matt Brown looked dominant and, proved that, he should be a real strong contender. Absolutely dominated Pete Sell. Definitely, Brown looked even, embarrassed that this fight was still going on. He was like, Yves, stop it. I'm killing him. I don't want to go to jail for murder. Anyways, then we move over to the main event of the evening. This was Gabriel Gonzaga versus Shane Carwin. This fight here was, gotta say, interesting. Really, that when we start out, Gonzaga, he hits Carwin pretty hard, rocks him a bit, gets him against the fence, takes him down, gets in, half guard or count, and he really didn't do anything. I mean, he could have got a submission, he could have ground and pounded him. Nah. Gabriel Gonzaga just let Shane Carwin get up, basically. And then Shane Carwin took advantage of this, critical error in the Gonzaga game plan. And he delivered a punch, and down went Gabriel Gonzaga like he was on Dream Street. This was a big punch, and like I said, I thought the power was just going to be too overwhelming from Shane Carwin on Gabriel Gonzaga. And it was. And Gabriel Gonzaga goes down. Don't know where he's going to fall now. I guess he's going to have to be fighting, other heavyweight prospects, maybe over-the-hill heavyweight guys. I don't know. I like Gabriel Gonzaga a lot, but I don't know what the hell his game plan was. So what do they do with Shane Carwin? Well, we know that Cain Velasquez is taken up. Czech Congo's got a fight coming up as well. I believe it's on UFC 97. But I would like to see Carwin and Congo. If Congo gets the victory, let's get Congo and Carwin going. I think a lot of people would agree with me. Anyways, then we go to the next fight, which was the main event of the evening. It was Quinton Rampage Jackson versus Keith the Dynamine Jardine. Really, this one had a little more interesting implications, as, on the pay-per-view here, they brought Frank Mir out, basically saying that he couldn't fight, what have you, on UFC 98. So then they brought Rashad Evans in and said that they've moved his fight from July, which was UFC 100, up to UFC 98. And, the winner of this fight between Jackson and Jardine, if Jardine won, it would be Machida in there, but if Jackson wins, it would be Jackson. But I still have this belief that they're going to put Machida in there, as, Jackson just fought, had a hard train camp. I don't think he wants to go train for another couple months again, you know, to fight. Anyways, this fight here was actually an interesting fight. You know, Jardine made it a little more competitive than I thought he would have. I just thought, you know, Rampage would have done, you know, he even admitted his game plan was just go in there, bum rush Jardine and let the hands go and, you know, rock him. You know, you do that, you know, Wolf Slayer training that, you know, absolutely dropped Vanderlei Silva back at UFC 92. We didn't get much of that, but I will give Keith Jardine credit. I mean, he's a gamer. He's got a pretty, you know, his chin lived up here tonight, or last night, I should say. You know, Jardine threw the leg kicks like you expected. You know, Jackson did a, you know, a fairly decent job, you know, blocking them. The first round was definitely hit or miss. You could have gone either way. I went with Jackson. I thought he did, you know, a smidge more damage than Jardine did. The second round was another interesting one. I went with Jackson again more because I thought he did, you know, the same. You know, Jardine looked like he was tired, but no, that's Keith Jardine's style, that he looks like he's gassed, but he's really not. That's how things go. Anyways, we went to the third round. This was looking to be a Keith Jardine round. I mean, it really wouldn't have meant nothing but that, you know, Rampage doesn't sweep the board. But then the Slayer training came into full effect as the closing seconds of the round, Jackson drops Jardine. He goes in for a kill, but the horn goes, and that's the end of the third round. Jackson wins, you know, by unanimous decision. I believe it was 29-28 on 2 judges' scorecards, and Cecil People scored at 30-27. That's how I scored it as well. One, the knockdown was just the main reason you got to give that last to Quinton Jackson. And then the awesomeness happened on this pay-per-view when they had Quinton Rampage Jackson and Rashad Evans have this amazing stare down and cut this promo stuff back together. I mean, there was some pro wrestling aspect on here, as for the main event they had Rashad Evans do commentary, which, you know, if MMA is going to steal stuff from pro wrestling, I'm fine with you doing that. I like, you know, have the champion talk, you know, about a guy that, you know, he could potentially be fighting, you know, watch his fight. There's nothing wrong with them stealing that. I don't know how some of the MMA fans will feel. The thing in the thing at the end there between Jackson and Evans, you know, that was very pro wrestling, but that's something that professional wrestling itself has completely forgotten how to do, you know, have these amazing stare downs and amazing segments. I mean, yeah, we got some good stuff, you know, maybe with Triple H and Randy Orton last week, but still, I don't think anything topped it for a very long time has topped how awesome this was. You know, between, you know, like for a big title fight or something like that, I don't think we haven't had that something for like that in a very long time. Other than that, you know, when you look at the prelim card, Brandon Vera was, you know, a great kickboxer in his fight. Really just devastated the dude. I can't remember his name at the moment. Excuse me I apologize for that if I can't remember his name. You know, Brandon Vera was real strong there. I was impressed with Brandon Vera. He looked like to be back. Kendall Grove made an amazing comeback and saved his job when he absolutely dropped J. Doomsday. You know, pretty big knockout as well. I mean, there were a lot of knockout of the night cards. The Barn Cat Tamden McCory gets, you know, a big victory, and he cut a pretty funny promo as well. You know, a lot of explicits, but, you know, the way he used them, it was awesome, and he was upset about the music that he didn't get to play. So overall, I enjoyed the card. I wouldn't say it was the greatest of all time, but you know what? For a card that didn't have, you know, a whole heap of expectations, definitely lived up to there. I'd give it a thumbs up. And as always, please leave your thoughts on what you thought was best fight of the night, worst fight of the night, and overall opinions on the bottom. Then you move over to the realm of boxing. We had, you know, HBO Boxing After Dark. Pretty interesting night of fights, you know. Not maybe the greatest night of fights you're ever going to see. Definitely not, I should say, but some interesting stuff on there. We kicked things off with, you know, the hometown boy for this night of fights in the Ghost Robert Guerrero. He took on Indonesian Duad Yordan. Really, this fight was, you know, the first round was, you know, pretty, it was a Yordan round, if you don't mind me saying. I thought, you know, Yordan did, you know, a lot of work. You know, he clinched, but, you know, he did it in a smart way where he would, you know, throw a combination and clinch to protect himself from hitting, you know, make it look like, and he also did make it look like Guerrero was the one that was clinching. So I gave the first round to Yordan as he did more work in there. You know, Guerrero really couldn't get things going in the first round. Second round, we have a whole bivvy of problems here as, you know, Yordan and, you know, Guerrero go to throw punches at the same time. Accidental headbutt on Robert Guerrero. I mean, it's a pretty nasty if you've seen it. I mean, this was a nasty cut. Guerrero then got brought over to see the doctor, who, you know, said that, you know, he couldn't see. It was dripping right in his eye. I mean, it was a bad cut. The doctor was, you know, kind of like, well, we're going to stop it. I mean, Guerrero said he couldn't see. That's when you automatically got to stop it. When you say you can't see, protect his safety. They stopped it. A lot of people were upset with the decision, mainly thinking that Robert Guerrero was going to lose, but under the unified rules of boxing, if it goes, you know, past 4 rounds, then yeah, you go to the scorecards, but if you go to 4 rounds, you know, below 4 or under, it's, you know, a no contest. And that's what happened here, basically. It looked like Yordan thought he won as well, but no, it was a no contest, and, you know, disappointing night of fight, since, you know, Robert was the one that mainly sold the tickets for the local market, wanting to see him, you know, decimate Yordan, but we really didn't get to see what we were looking for, and apparently there's going to be a rematch between the two. I would like to see it, as I think, you know, these guys could throw some serious bombs at each other and, you know, make it a very interesting fight, but, you know, unfortunately that didn't happen. Then we went to the next fight, which was Vicious Victor Ortiz, when he took Mike Arenades. Vicious Victor went from you know, prospect to contender tonight, or last night I should say. You know, he absolutely just decimated Mike Arenades. You know, the first round was all, you know, Victor, you know, he was throwing good combinations on the body, what have you, combinations and body shots, what have you. Definitely won the first round, and then the second round he's like, well, I'm taking it home. You know, he threw a right hand that hurt Arenades, and then he got him against the corner, and you just finished him. Referee comes in and stops it. Vicious Victor Ortiz gets a second round TKO. Victor Ortiz looked really, really strong in this fight. I look forward to seeing more of him. And then the main event of the evening, which was, you know, we wanted this to be the best fight of the night, and due to these circumstances, it by default was going to be, it was James Kirkland versus Joelle Julio. This fight was really interesting. I mean, Kirkland came out, looked like he wanted to end things extremely early. I mean, he came out super fast. But Julio, you know, he stood his game up. You know, he stood up to him. But really, Julio didn't get things until, you know, at least the third round, where, you know, Kirkland, you know, came up, you know, delivered his vicious power shots. But Kirkland really wasn't, you know, the Kirkland there. I mean, I guess you got to say that's more how talented Joelle Julio is. I mean, other fighter would have probably gone down, but Julio absorbed the blows, you know, the body shots, the head shots. But then, you know, in the third round, you know, there was a flurry between the two, and James Kirkland was the one that didn't come out on top of that. It was Joelle Julio in, you know, the first little flurry, and then the flurry at the end by Julio. I got to give him the third round, and then after that, you know, he looked like, yeah, he was a defeated fighter from then on. I don't know why he had all this momentum, but then Kirkland, you know, came in there, power shots, you know, just hurt him. There was this incident I believe in that fourth round where Julio said that Kirkland hit him behind the head. The ref stopped it, you know, just to tell him, hey, let's keep it clean, what have you. And then he says, let's go. And, you know, he's still there, and Julio isn't ready, and Kirkland just throws a little cross, hits Julio in the face, and Julio's like, what the hell? And I'm like, no, referee said, let's go. I'm throwing a punch. If you're not prepared, that's your own stupidity, Joelle Julio. He seemed upset about that, but the ref said go. So that's just me. If you say go, I'm going to throw a punch at your face. I'm sorry. That has to happen. And then, you know, basically, like I said, from then on, James Kirkland took it into overdrive. Now, he delivered the vicious power shots that, you know, we've become accustomed to. Julio got a cut over his right eye, one of his eyes, I should say. And I believe it was either in the second or the third round. And, you know, it got worse as the fight progressed. And, you know, the ref came in and just wanted to check in on him, see how that cut was doing. Julio then said, you know what, I got to stop the fight. I have the face of a defeated fighter. I'm not going to beat him. I don't want to take any more punishment. My cut is going to get worse. The fight, James Kirkland, you know, looked very impressive. Still proving up to be with the Mike Tyson, you know, comparisons that have been thrown. I would fully agree still, as James Kirkland gets the win. And by the way, if you saw the little promo, or not, the little package they put on, you know, what Kirkland trains, my God, that's some intense training. I mean, shoveling a tire. And, you know, I think that's maybe the best training for footwork, when they moving truck with a punching bag on it, and you gotta, back up and punch. That's some very innovative training. I have to say that. I will give the Kirkland camp all the props in the world for that innovative training. But anyways, that's it for me. I'll give, like I said, like the UFC show, if you saw the boxing one, please, best fight, worst fight, what you thought overall. That's going to be it for me then. That's it for me. I'm out. Peace.